Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome here at Crypto Hash Review, where we educate and disseminate information about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies from a Muslim perspective. And we are continuing our discussion about objections made against Bitcoin by learned scholars and individuals. And today's one's a bit of a different one. It's not actually directed towards Bitcoin specifically, but it was a statement made in a video or in something that was as a means of objecting against Bitcoin. And what was said was that the dollar was 100% backed by gold until 1971. So this was what does this statement mean? This statement was made because the advocate of their position was saying that we shouldn't use Bitcoin because we should use gold, and they were just saying that even our system right now of fiat money, it was gold up until 1971. That was what they are trying to say. What was interesting about this is that, number one, this is not true. And number two, this statement was made after the same individual mentioned that, or thought that the current money we have today is still backed up by gold. There are many people who think that even the fiat money we have today is also backed up by gold, which is not true, obviously. I remember growing up having this fallacy that if you go to the bank, you can give them the £50 note and they'll give you the equivalent in gold. That has been the case for decades, probably up to 100 years, more than 100 years even. But as for the issue of it being backed until 1971, that is not entirely true. There's been a long-standing history of fractional reserve issued certificates. Like I mentioned before, there's a difference between fiat money, which is paper money on its own, given value by the powers that be, and certificates, a piece of paper that has or represents a value in gold or whatever money is supposed to represent. This money is a certificate and it should have a one-to-one backing, one certificate to one piece of gold or what, you know what I'm saying? And they're suggesting that this one-to-one relationship was the case up until Nixon, which is not true. If you refer to our history of money videos, we mentioned that the fractional or the since the central bank of the United States and other countries began the process of diluting the money supply or these certificates or the backing of these certificates was in full effect, and especially after the Bretton Woods Agreement, the American government was printing more and more dollars to fund their activities, to the extent whereby other countries began to request and ask for their gold back because they didn't see the reason why American could print money and they can't. So France was the first one to say we want our gold back, and other countries started to follow suit. And that is when Nixon said no, and he mentioned that very famous statement that he's going to suspend the convertibility of the dollar into gold, and it was a temporary measure, temporary as in like 50 years now, but it was a temporary measure. Actually, yeah, 2021. So now will be the 50th anniversary of the current petrodollar system. So why did Nixon detach the connection between the dollar and gold? It was because governments were requesting their gold back and there wasn't enough backing in the first place. So that basically what they were worrying is that there will come a point, if they kept on giving back these governments the gold, that they would run out of gold and people still ask for their gold. And that will basically bankrupt the United States of America. So that's why he detached it. So even the circumstance that led to this decoupling, this detaching of the gold from the dollar, indicates that it wasn't backed 100%. But we have to also not overlook what brought us to this part of our history. Why did we end up with certificates in the first place, and how those certificates end up being fiat in the first place? And this is the unfortunate reality of gold itself. Gold is a great store of value in the sense that historically it's been accepted. Its price has remained relatively stable. And I say relatively, it doesn't mean that they aren't swing up and down, but throughout the centuries it's remained relatively stable. But The fact of the matter is, gold is hard to transport, to store, and to divide. So because of that, it makes sense to have certificates. Rather than walk around the street with £1,000 worth of gold in your pocket, weighing your clothes down on one side of your body, you can just hold a few pieces of notes of paper in your wallet, and then you can exchange. And that's even why we have banks. Banks are a more convenient way of storing your money. So convenience has made us move from gold to paper, from paper to banks. All this is to do with convenience. Whereas Bitcoin allows you to have the benefits of gold, store of value, and also the benefits of fiat in the sense that it's weightless. So you would say almost this is almost like the evolution of money. This is where money was heading anyway. Money is always heading to where it is cheaper to transport, cheaper to hold and secure, easier to transport, and easier to transact, and easiest to divide. Paper money is easier to divide than gold. I can easily give you change with these small coins. The fiat money allows you to do so. So the point is that we've got to fiat money. We've got to this broken system we are now because of the inherent nature of gold and how heavy it is. Now, this is not to say that gold is bad and evil. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we cannot deny the fact that gold is heavy, it's chunky, and securing it is difficult, transporting it is difficult, and mankind seeks out the most efficient way of doing anything. And the most efficient way of transacting, especially internationally, is digitally at the moment. I can't imagine a world. I mean, this is my plea to those gold bugs who say we should all return to gold and silver. I can't imagine a world where I need to buy something from China and I need to ship my gold pieces to China for them to ship me my stuff back. Now, what they would say, no, brother, you don't have to do that. What you can do, you can store your gold into a vault, and that vault will give you a debit card. You can spend your debit card, and that's fiat. That is the fiat system we have right now. What is it? It's all you're doing is setting yourself up for the same thing again, the same nonsense again. You deposit your gold into a vault. The vault keepers decide to print off more certificates than there is gold, and then we have the same thing again. It's the way it will go. It's the way it will go. On the alternative, we could have a system whereby the units, the coins, the things that you use to transact can only come into existence through hard work and labor. And it has all the benefits of the digital world, whereby it's transportable over time and place and space through just sending out a message. And this is the Bitcoin network. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that point here, that again, main reason why people have objected towards Bitcoin has been one of two reasons, and I say this all the time. It's bad understanding of how Bitcoin network works and what Bitcoin is, and also a bad understanding of how economy works and how the world actually works. Now, this is not a fault of anyone. We are all born ignorant. There is nothing that you guys know in your lives, except that at one point you didn't know. So we're all in a process of learning. So in this case here, when it comes to the issue of Bitcoin, before we issue any fatwa or before we issue any verdicts, we need to understand the arena we are discussing, the realm we are delving into, and have a better understanding so that when we do give fatwa, issue fatwa, it is as it should be. Anyway, if you disagree with our opinions, the comment section is for you. Go wild. Like this video, please, if you liked it, and thumbs down if you didn't like it. Subscribe to our channel, and if you want to give us a shout or contact us for whatever reason, you can find our details on our website. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.